Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Off the Clock. I'm your host, Sierra Jones. Today we have Coach Kerry Johnson, owner of VSI Unlimited, and we have some other coaches from the KJIMPACT Coaching Symposium. Without further ado, let's get Coach Johnson off the clock. Welcome back. We are here with Coach Kerry Johnson, the owner of VSI Unlimited. Now, Coach, you just had a coaching symposium. Tell us about that and just how that came about.
Yes, we did. It was a great event, first annual KJIMPACT Coaching Symposium. We wanted to try to continue our outreach and mission to the youth in our community, and we wanted to do that through our youth coaches. So the coaching symposium was directed at our AAU youth coaches, dad coaches, volunteer coaches, middle school and high school coaches.
Now, I know those are watching are sad they missed it. Are you going to do this again next year?
Absolutely, Sierra. We're already being flooded with requests and reservations for our next event next year.
Wow. Well, we'll be right back, and we will be at the panel discussion from the Coaching Symposium.
The greatest asset we have is our employees.
I'm very excited to welcome you to our new corporate website.
The National Space Club was founded as the National Rocket Club in 1957.
In North Alabama, we are extremely blessed.
True Tone will test your theory in everything, the good things and the bad things. In everything, give him thanks.
Why choose this as our goal? And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain?
Welcome back. I'm your host, Sierra Jones. Here we are at the Von Braun Center at the Coaching Symposium hosted by KJIMPACT. To my right, to your left, we have Coach Van Pettaway. He is, I call him the Alabama A&M. He coached at A&M over 20 years and is now currently the color analyst. We have Coach Andy Blackson. He is just, I personally think he is the best high school coach in the state of Alabama, and now he's in Tennessee. So I'm going to say he's the best high school coach in the state of Tennessee. He's currently at Brentwood Academy. He coached at Madison Academy for over 16 years. He won a lot of championships and actually is now in the Hall of Fame. He won't tell you, but you can go look it up. To my left, to your right, we have Nyla Johnson. She is currently the assistant coach at Belmont University. She was the head coach at Birmingham Southern. She was also assistant coach at Alabama A&M. And lastly, we have Coach Stevenson as well. He is the CEO and founder of One Heart at a Time. He also was a player development at Alabama, War Eagle, I'm sorry. And as well, he was, as you see that little ring, and not little, it's a big ring that you see over there. He was a high school coach as well, coached in college. So thank you all for being here.
Thank you, ma'am.
So look, we're gonna get started with it. I'm gonna start with you, Coach. So if you guys can go back to your first year coaching. Let's say we're in the locker room, your player's in the locker room, you're right outside the door, and I'm in the locker room asking your coach, or your players, excuse me, how would you describe your coach? Your first year, how do you think your players would describe you? And then I want you to answer again, how would they describe you now today?
Well, in that first year, they'll probably say he's our best friend. He's a guy that we can count on. He's somebody that we will run through a wall for. I think in your first year, I think if you go in there and you do things the right way, I think that's the results that you'll get from your players. And I think going back to that first team in 1985, I believe it is. I think that's what you would get from my guys, and they'll tell you that he's hard, but he's fair, and I don't think you can ask for anything any more than that.
How would they describe you, Coach?
Yeah, that's a good question. We need to ask them. I would say they would probably say, man, that guy's intense.
Yeah.
I was super intense, and I learned to get more relational. So I lead default. My personality tends to lead with intensity, but also attention to detail. And that's now I try to just mix it a little bit better.
Okay.
There's a time for intensity, but it doesn't need to be all the time.
Nala, what would you say about you? Your first year coaching, what would your girls say about you?
Well, that's a trick question because my first year coaching, I was 16 years old. I was coaching AAU basketball. And I didn't know what I was doing, and I think it was obvious. So they'll probably say that I was pretty intense. I expected at that time everybody to react to how I was or how I played. And as a player, I was really intense. Now they'll probably say I'm way more relational and a lot more focused on just their development off the court. They get so frustrated because, like, Coach Nala, we came in here we didn't have to have like a life lesson. I'm like, yes, you did, because that's how you're going to get it. So I think now they would describe me as way more relational, and if I have to raise my voice now, they're like, okay, we need to listen, because I don't do that often.
I probably was a little different because my first year as a head coach, I was a basketball coach. And basketball is my passion, but I had an opportunity to be an assistant for 10 years before that. Okay, so I had seen a whole lot of stuff, and I had the stuff that I liked, I picked up on it, and the stuff I didn't like, I tried to throw it out. So I was detail-oriented, I was supportive, I was loving. All those things that I wanted to see from a head coach that I worked for, I tried to pick up those traits. So they probably would tell you, yes, he was detail oriented, he was hard on us, he held us accountable, but he was also loving.
I love that. I love that. Now, you guys, let's take a step back again. Let's go back to, like we just talked about, your first year coaching to now. Will you share what are the challenges that you face as a coach? If you want to share from when you first started even today, what are some challenges that you face as a coach?
Well, I think the biggest thing is getting the right kids on the collegiate level, getting the right kids into your program to run the kind of offense and defense that you want to. In other words, your philosophy. You got to bring in kids who understand and your philosophy and will play and do the things that they need to get done in order to play that philosophy, or to play that way, that style of play. I think our style of play was in the early years. Was very interesting to people because, number one, I believe in offense, but I had a deal with my players. If you play good defense for me, I will give you more freedom on the offensive end, and that's the way I played it. But our defense, we would turn it up, we would turn the screws up, and our kids really liked that, and that was part of our success at Alabama A&M, the defensive pressure that we applied to different teams.
Coach Blackson, what about you? What are some challenges that you face?
Yeah, lots of challenges. I think just personally, it's like balance because I have this intense competitive nature. And so learning how to also be a husband and a father and a good coach because not everybody, it's just tough. It's a tough balance. Like when you lose, you still have to go home and give some, be available to your family. And what I really want to do is crawl in a hole and figure out what went wrong. And that's hard. That's a struggle for me. But I think I've tried to do better at it and gotten better at it. From a execution standpoint, I think the biggest challenge, like every year you got a brand new team. Mm-hmm. And just because it worked last year doesn't mean it's going to work this year. Right. And so it's always kind of a reveal where like, you've got to figure out what that team needs. And so I think it's that not getting locked into this is my system and the player, I just plug players in because at the high school level, you don't get to choose your players. Nope. So you've got to be really flexible to put your team in the best position to win. So I love that strategic part of it. It's a challenge, but actually it's something that I thrive on.
Gets you like just juices.
Yeah, it's like, okay, well, this is what we got. And if we did, it's just we could do this, this, and this, and this could put us in really good spots.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Nala, what about you? What are some challenges that you face?
I think my biggest challenge right now is just the relationship piece. I'm a relationship person. I'm a relationship coach, and I take those relationships, even down to my recruiting, very seriously. And so now with the additions of transfer portals and or NILs, sometimes it taints that piece. And you're always, as a college coach, for me, and I've been in college 8 years now, trying to find that balance of, yes, you are the relationships are there, but now you're an employee.
Yeah.
So where does the line get drawn, and how can I be all in for my players without putting me at a disadvantage as well? So for me, that's been the biggest challenge.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. Coach Stevenson, what about you?
Yes, and the area where I was head football coach at, we had a challenge of having the right people around. We didn't have enough staff members to support our kids, and that was important. And we had to. I only had 2 paid coaches on staff, so I had to take a whole bunch of volunteers in. And we had to set a criteria that we could use so that we could find some other people. And I wanted those guys to show up every day on time, okay, and do their best. That's all we require for if you're going to come in and help our program. And we tried to make sure that they realize that we lead with love, not power and authority. Our kids needed that love. They need those people to embrace them and put their arms around them. And that's what we want to do all day, every day.
Let's talk about that a little bit more. So going a little bit deeper into player development, I'm going to start with you, Coach, and work our way down. What is your approach? And also, if you can talk about a little bit about your nonprofit and what you do, not only player development, them as a player, but also them as a person.
Yeah, so I think in player development, you first of all have to meet them where they are. Okay, you got to have some expectations, but we need to know where you are, and we need you to know where you are.
Yeah.
Okay, and I've written a book of spiritual motivational poetry. And when I was at Alabama in that player development role, we let those guys know that okay, you coming into this place. Some of you guys graduated from schools y'all had 15 people in the graduation. Some of you guys had 1,500 in your graduation class, but we got 35,000 folks here, and not everybody want to see you succeed. Okay, so your village, where you came from at home, is who you need to make sure that you stay grounded with. And so we try to put those things and find out from them. They know what they needed to be successful. And so you guys are brilliant. Okay, so we didn't go in there and try to tell them, you do this, you do that, you do that. What do you need do you think you need for you to be successful, and how can we help you with that? Okay, and so my nonprofit, One Heart at a Time, during the pandemic, I was watching all this social injustice and all of this stuff going on, and we recognized that after this period is over with, that heart's gonna have to be repaired. Okay, so and I realized that, okay, how are we gonna do this? And we created our nonprofit One Heart at a Time, because at the end of the day, the heart of the problem is a problem of the heart. We got to change hearts, and guess what? And if we change hearts, the mind will follow. Yes. So that's our concept, and we're love them to life, yeah, and lead with love.
And real quick, those who are watching right now, if they are a coach, is your nonprofit local? Is it virtual? How does it work?
It is local, and we just got our 501c3 status. We're located in Birmingham, Alabama, and we have a website, thecareystevenson.com. And if you go to thecareystevenson.com, you can get in touch with us at that point.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that. Let's continue a little bit. So, Nala, what about you? How do you approach player development, even at Belmont? What do you see that your head coach does as well?
So I think that my head coach, Bart Brooks, one of the best in the business. I think that what he does so well is he meets players where they are, but he also recruits the right type of people. So it makes it easier to develop them as players. I think that my biggest role in player development, as my career has taken off, is off the court. Because what I have learned, I am young, I'm a woman, and they are always trying to be what they see. And so I try to hold myself to a very high standard of how I conduct myself on the court, off the court, because I think that young ladies will do everything I do, but only 10% only hear 10% of what I say. So it's more important, if I want them to be these upstanding young women, in which I do, and be good mothers and good wives, then I have to show them at least the qualities that they need to possess to do that.
Yeah.
And that is something that in my role I take very seriously, so we can get to the basketball stuff later.
Right.
That's going to work. I'm a good basketball coach, but I have to make sure that I'm a good person, so I can teach you how to be a good person, and everything else will follow from that.
That's really good. That's really good. Coach Blackson, you're at a private school, Brentwood Academy. What does player development look like for you?
Yeah, I think I kind of try to have a holistic approach, like everybody has talked about here. But it starts with like what's going on with your soul. You know, if that's not right, it's gonna, and then the academic piece of developing your brain, like to be able to think and think critically. Then developing your body. Like the weight room with fantastic weight coach, fantastic weight room facility, and then like bringing in nutrition, like what you eat matters, and that. I mean, you walk in eating fruit all the time, all that kind of stuff. So, all of that matters. And then when you get down to like actual development as a basketball player, like let's be honest about your strengths and weaknesses. Like, what do you think your strength? Let's. I'll ask you. Like here, I wrote down what I think your strengths and weaknesses are. You write them down and let's compare and see where we line up. And then we'll talk about how that we can get that better and that better.
Well, player development is two phases. Number one, in the recruiting process on the collegiate level, you want to recruit character. That really helps. If the half of the battle is won if character, if that recruit has the right character, the battle's half won. Then the other part is just what Coach Blackson was talking about, developing the basketball player. If that young man or that young lady comes in there and they understand that they do have weaknesses and they're willing to work to on those weaknesses, then you've won. You won. And what you really want to show your kids is that you care about them more than just a basketball player. You got to develop that rapport with them where they feel comfortable coming in the office and talking to you about what's going on at home, what's going on in their life. And then, different coaches do it different ways. Some coaches require that you come in one-on-one at least once a week. Some coaches I know, they want you to talk to them right before practice just to see how your day is going. And so it's up to the head coach to develop the culture that you're going to have in your program. And when it comes to player development, if you don't develop them, you're not going to be a coach very long. You're not going to be a coach very long.
That's really good. That's really good. Now, we talked about player development. And I know this is not possible, but let's say an ideal where we can do this. If you guys could handpick the parents of the kids that you're coaching, right? What characteristics would these parents have? Because obviously right now, I'm sure all of you in your back of your mind can think of one parent right now. It's a complete headache. So what would you say? What's the ideal parent? What does that look like? Would you like to start?
And the ideal parent, I don't know what that like, cause every parent loves their kid. Okay, but I feel like every parent can handle a situation if they know that that kid is being treated fair and the coach is being consistent. Okay, and I just know that I'm a parent also, right? And in my generation, when I was growing up, we had to go get it. Okay, and when we were raising our children, we had a little bit more than what our parents and our grandparents had. So we kind of protected them and gave them too much stuff. So we screwed these kids up. Okay, so we got to let those parents know. I go and let them know that okay, here's your child. This is what you did. This is how we got to fix it. Okay, so but I know that if we include the parent, okay, I believe in confronting the problem and not the person. Okay, so if we go to the parents and say, okay, what do you think the problem is? Okay, and they got the answer. Okay, well, how can I help you fix it? Okay, and now you didn't let them be a part of the solution. Okay, and if you allow those parents to be a part of the solution, they'll buy in faster. So
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Nala, I know as a college coach, the relationship is a little bit different, but what's your ideal parent or the characteristics you would like to see?
I don't know if I have an ideal parent because I've been around a lot of great parents that all had different, really good qualities. I think that the outlier or the biggest and let me say, the most important quality for them to have is support. Because a lot of parents teeter with support with accountability. I think that the biggest thing is that every parent loves their child.
Yeah.
Okay, like I think that and maybe they show it in different ways, but every parent loves their child. But when the mix of support, accountability come together, that is what That is what really takes a child or a young lady or anybody to the next level, because there's a love already there. But now, okay, I support your dreams, but I'm also going to hold you accountable to how we're going to accomplish these dreams. And if coach says it's this way, then that's how it is. I'm going to hold you accountable and support you in that. And I think those top three things with love, support, and accountability are the mixtures for any really good parent to help their child.
That's really good. Coach Blackson?
Yeah, I mean, the quote that comes to my mind is prepare your kid for the path. Don't try to prepare your path for the kid. And that speaks volumes, because you want to let your kid fail, because failure is part of life, and our job is not to prevent our children from failing. Our job as parents is to be there when they fail and coach them through that. I think one thing that I love about parents is when I can sense that they see a bigger picture than just what's going on with their kid, because especially in team sports, it's different if you're playing golf, which is solo, or tennis, which is solo. But your child's playing a team sport, and there's 4 other parents who have kids on the floor at the same time as your kid, and there's maybe 12 kids on the team. So just to see, all right, like, it's a lot of moving parts, there's a lot to manage, and I can't just focus on what my kid's getting or not getting. And when I sense that a parent has that perspective, I actually can relax a little bit more around that parent.
I like that. Coach?
And for me, being on the collegiate level, it's a little bit different. I have been in the stands recruiting high school athletes, and I have walked out of the game because of the way some parents act during the games. And my thing is, I don't want that in my program. I've seen other college coaches do the same thing. It's great to be a parent, but you still have to conduct yourself accordingly. And the ideal parent for me, you're right here in the city. Look, the Johnson family, the Langford family, the Rudolph family. Those parents brought their kids. Look at the athletes that they've produced and they've sent out into the world. And look at how they did it. They allowed the coach to coach them. And I think that's what's missing in today's society. It's just like Coach said earlier, no parent thinks their child is wrong. And that's not the way you do that, because when you do it in athletics, then they're going to come up short in life. You can't do that. You have to let your child figure out how to come out of whatever hole they go into. You have to do that in athletics. You have to allow your child to do that. You have to allow your child to be coached. And to me, a great parent is a parent that's going to be supportive of their child, but at the same time, they got to respect what that coach and that program is doing and what they're trying to accomplish.
That's really good. That's really good. I hope you guys watching are enjoying just the wisdom from these 4. Stay tuned for more from this great panel.
The Housing Authority's Child Care Development Program was created to expand child care opportunities in the city. This program also provided opportunities for people who typically would not have access to expand their education and start their own businesses as well. The students enrolled in the Child Care Short Certificate at Drake State are taking this as a prerequisite to get their CDA, which is a national certification in child care. They also have access to small business classes with the Catalyst Center and a small business boot camp as well with C&I Solutions.
Welcome back. We are here at the Coaching Symposium hosted by KJIMPACT. Now, coaches, before we go, I would love if you could think about any advice you would give someone who has not got into coaching yet. And what also do you guys do for some self-care when you're not coaching?
Well, Sierra, I would advise anybody that wants to get into coaching to do it, but you got to love it. You got to be committed to it. You got to be committed to the kids. I learned early on that find something that you like to do, then you'll never work a day in your life. And that's the way I looked at coaching during the time that I was there. And in my off time, I love to fish. I love to fish. If there's some water, then we got us a good collaboration going on.
Best advice to a young coach is two things. Number one, make sure that it's a calling. You feel like this is your unique gift. And then to find your gift, develop your gift, and then give your gift away, right? So find a good mentor. I would start out, I had two great mentors early in my coaching career, and I built off a lot of things that they do. I have a lot of different getaways. I like to watch history documentaries. I love world history. I don't know what it is, but and then I like to play the guitar. So those are my two giveaways.
My advice to somebody trying to get into it, I would just say always keep your options open. I think sometimes we go into it that I want to be a collegiate coach or I want to be a high school coach. I just think your impact, your mission should be to impact kids at any level. And I just say just be where your feet are. Wherever you are, you're there for a reason, and to really, dig into that reason. In my off time, I like to get my nails done and I go hiking. So that's my self care. I love it. My nails are always done, so that's my thing.
And I think that coaching is something that you're born to do. Uh, I know that there's nothing that I've ever done to go get any certification or try to get a degree in coaching. So it's got to be something that you're called to do. And we've been blessed to be a blessing to a whole lot. My son and daughter, freshman year in college, they were coaching middle school basketball at their school that they went to. And and we have staffs of about 25, 30 guys down in Mobile that are into coaching because of the way that we made it look. And I've never been to work. Coaching the coach is not a job for me. It's a way of life, and I just thank God for the opportunity that He's given me to be a coach. That's what I do in my that's self-care, that's their care. I love to play golf, and I've written a book of spiritual motivational poetry.
Wow, wow, I love that. Well, coaches, again, thank you for your time and thank you for being here. Thank you to KJ Impact for hosting this amazing event, Coaching Symposium. If you'd like more information about KJ Impact, you can click on that QR code that you see on the screen. If you'd like more information about these coaches and the speakers, you can also look on the KJ Impact website and it'll give you all the information, the bio. You can follow them on their social media pages. Thank you again. Join us next time to see who's off the clock.